ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we'll be reviewing the OG, the Terminator. Got a little bit of Arnold in us. Is this our first Arnold movie?
No, Predator, man. We got the Predator.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect
I knew saying that was wrong. I just wanted someone to confirm with me. But of course, before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by nude Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I'm nude. I'm
Yeah,
completely
we don't have
naked.
Video podcast yet.
Because I just came through time,
Yeah.
and I'm naked.
Is that some kind of pun or?
No, not a double entendre.
Okay, just had to confirm.
I mean, that's the After Dark special.
Gotcha.
That's
Yeah,
Back Row
well,
Banter
that's for
after
the
hours.
Patreon
Yeah.
subscribers. Yep. Also joining us today, it's time traveling Tyler Badalis.
What's going on?
I guess you're also nude if you're also time traveling.
Yeah, I'm just nude as a general.
Yeah, I could just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, whatever you want,
Yeah,
whatever you need.
Either one. Gotcha.
Is speaking of the new time traveling, is that a rule that's established in these films? I think it is now.
Yeah.
Anytime you are time traveling, you are ass naked.
He says it in the movie.
His interrogation with the police. He's like,
Reese does. Yeah.
Or only organic.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Travel through time or something like that.
Yeah, I got you.
Minor spoilers for a almost 40-year-old movie now.
40. Yeah.
Next year.
Is it 84?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 38. Damn. Or 39. Yeah, we're 2023 now. God, this is too fast. Everything's happening too fast. Rounding out the squadron, of course, is big bulletproof BlakeHolder.
What's going on, fellas?
Is that an underrated superpower, being bulletproof?
Not to Luke Cage.
Okay.
You know what? I would argue yes, though, because you'll still be able to overtake majority of the villains you're coming across, right? Like how many of them are not gonna have automatic guns?
Well, in America, it's definitely an underrated power. Some other places, maybe not so much.
The most out of anything else.
Yeah.
But if you're bulletproof, I assume you're like punch proof too. Like, can you be one and not the other?
That's one of those things, isn't it? Because if you're bulletproof, are you shock proof? Because you take a big enough round to the chest, like that's not going to matter if it bounces off you. It's still going to damage underneath or something like that,
Yeah. They never go into this in the films. They kind of they leave it unsaid. I need a movie to go into it a little bit more. What I need to know is, I mean, I'm sure they've explained this before as well. Adamantium, that basically makes him bulletproof, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Yeah. It'll bounce off his skeleton.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a way, but like, yeah, 'cause there's holes in your bones, right? Like, so your ribs aren't like, so it's not going to prevent him from getting hit by a bullet.
Yeah.
His healing powers are what makes him bulletproof.
Gotcha.
Well, even if he got hit by a through and through too.
Since we stopped doing news, we never talked about Wolverine, Hugh Jackman coming back for Deadpool 3.
I thought we did chat about that. I thought that was in one of the news segments that we did.
Must have.
Yeah. No, because that was like last week or the week before, and we stopped doing news about. This is like episode 4 of us not doing news. I don't think we talked about it, unless I just forgot.
I think you blanked it out.
Maybe I did.
We've done too much.
Everybody does.
Yeah. Blank out banter, How are you guys doing though? Any big life updates?
Not much. Very shitty week last week. Lost my keys today, so just going down another shitty week today. Yeah, man, but
so fun.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those phases of life right now, man.
Keys to the car or like apartment or just like everything?
No, so I have my car keys, thankfully, but I lost my keys to my condo, which is just a pain. Like I lost like the key fob to let me in.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's just fucking pain, dude. So and then I leave tomorrow for vacation.
So you got that to look forward to.
Yeah. So really? I gotta get dressed when I come back. So it's just terrible.
Yeah, that is bad timing. Where were you? You just got back though. Where were you traveling from? As you said, for work this time, right?
Yeah, I was in New Orleans.
Oh man, nice.
Which was cool. Actually, really warm weather. First time in New Orleans. Really good food.
Yeah.
Went to Bourbon Street. Kind of walked around. Now that was a highlight for sure. So
one thing I've heard about Bourbon Street is that it smells like shit.
For sure, dude. It's okay. I mean, I was there walking around on a Tuesday evening, bro, and there's a bunch of people. I can't imagine that like on a Saturday night or even like Mardi Gras. I can't even imagine like doing something like that. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's people everywhere. There's fucking throw up all over the ground. It's gross.
Just imagine your worst college bar times 10.
For sure. Easiest way to say it. For sure.
And I don't know if I really want to go to New Orleans now. I don't even like going to
Nah, you gotta go.
But it is a cool vibe though. So you like walk around, you know what I mean? And you can just bar up, get really good food too. But yeah, it's
fair enough.
It's as Nathaniel said, just think of a college bar like times 1,000, dude.
That's not a good
with
image.
Adults.
Right.
Some 50, some 60.
Worse, actually.
Yeah, some 22. You know what I mean?
That's a little less excusable. You know, college town bars, you got the excuse of being, ransacked by kids who are underage mostly. So
exactly,
it doesn't really matter. But in a big city like that, get your shit together, people. Come on. Well, I guess we can just get into what we're watching. I'm very excited for what we're watching this week.
Oh, okay.
This has been this past week. It's not a long list that I have, but it is the best what we're watching list I think I've ever had.
Damn, big call early. You want to just dive into it?
Yeah, I'll go first once. I always feel like I go towards the end.
You generally round us out.
Let me kick it off. Let me kick it off with some spice here, guys.
Get in there.
So I'm gonna start here with I've talked ever since I've seen Drive to Survive, which we've talked about extensively on the show. I haven't really brought up Formula One in a while because it's the off season, but don't worry, that'll come back. But Drive to Survive, loved it ever since I started watching it. Couldn't get enough of it. Shortly after, or even right around the time I started watching that, I talked about on this pod how I wanted a tennis version of that, and it's finally come. It's here. The people who are involved with, I don't know what the level of involvement is, but basically, from my understanding, it's essentially kind of the creators or whatever of Drive to Survive have now released their tennis version called Breakpoint on Netflix.
Oh boy.
And it's good. It is good. I'm not at all disappointed. I am very happy to see it finally arrive, see it be here. It is not as good right now, at least. It's not as good as Drive to Survive. And I think there's a few reasons for that. It's also only 5 episodes. So they only cover like the first half of the 2021 tennis season, or 2022 tennis season, sorry.
Gotcha.
And I think they did that primarily because the Australian Open is coming up, or is actually going on right now, which is the start every year of the tennis season. That's the first of the 4 majors. So I'm assuming like just edited the half of the season that they could edit and finish in time, and then put that out at the beginning of the tennis season to kind of
play off the
hype of tennis starting, and then so the two can bounce off each other. Tennis fans can go watch Breakpoint. People who see Breakpoint can then go watch the Australian Open. So I think that's what they did, because they've already kind of teased at the end of the 5th episode, basically like there's more to come. And I'm not sure if it's going to be like an extension of the first season, or if it's going to be like part 2, or if it's going to just be a season 2. I don't know what it is. But I really like the what they're doing with the show. They're focusing basically on a lot of the up and coming players, like top 15 for the men and women. Which if you watch tennis or follow tennis, they're winning some of the other tournaments, but like the majors are still going to Nadal and Djokovic, primarily, and Federer up until he retired. But for the past 20 years, as I've kind of talked about before on the podcast, the past 20 years of tennis have been dominated by Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Serena Williams on the women's side, Andy Murray for a little bit until he kind of got injured. He's still around, but it's not the same. And so it's focusing on these up and coming players who are kind of looking to succeed those big 3 or big 4. And I really like that, because I think those other players, like focusing on them, although I'd love to see their kind of perspective throughout a season, I think they're going to get so many documentary treatments in the future after all 3 of them retire.
Sure.
And they already have gotten a few documentaries about them. Like, I'm glad that we are getting just kind of a new look at the up and coming tennis players to kind of just spread out the popularity a bit, because for the most part, beyond Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, could any of you guys name me a tennis player, like, or at least that's playing currently?
No.
No, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So I think it's cool that
Though
they're
I
going
did
after
just
these
see,
younger players.
didn't your girl Naomi just announce she's taking some time off? Yeah.
Yeah, she's not going to play in the entirety of 2023. I didn't look and see how far into the pregnancy she is, or if she's even said that. But yeah, she's basically taking the season off. And she's young. She's a year older than me, or a year or 2 older than me.
Okay.
So she's not.
And she didn't compete last year, did she?
She did. No, she did.
She did. Okay.
I think she may have left one of the majors with like
wasn't it like
something.
wasn't it one where she like didn't want to do press and they were all mad about that, and that was a big deal?
Yeah, that I'm pretty sure. Which one was that? Maybe the
Wimbledon?
French Open. Maybe it was Wimbledon. I don't know which one it was exactly, but yeah, that was a big deal last year as well. So she's
congrats to her.
She hasn't. Yeah, congrats by the way. Yeah, I love Naomi though. She's great. I wish she'd. It's been a little disappointing. I'm sure even for her, well, especially for her, but she hasn't like followed up the success she had at the beginning of her career, kind of winning I think 2 or 3 Grand Slams in the first 2 years, and then she kind of gotten to close but can't seem to get there again. So maybe this time off will kind of help her kind of rebound when she comes back, because she's still very young and has a lot of her career left. But that's even actually something they touch on in the show with one of the female players that they cover. Owns Jabeur, I think is how you pronounce it. She's an African player, one of like the first African female tennis players to or I think African players in general to reach a Grand Slam semifinal. But they talk about her in one of the episodes and how she's kind of wants to become a mother, but then you, as a tennis player, a female tennis player, it's hard to do that because mothers are have much more responsibility for taking care of the daughter oftentimes than men do. And even though they're professionals and like, a professional women's tennis player could probably hand it off to a husband or someone else to take care of the baby. Like it's still hard to do. It's harder for women to have a kid than men essentially, is kind of what they kind of go through with that.
Well, no matter what, you're taking time off, right?
You're taking time off, and then on top of that, like your body just goes through a lot of physical changes in pregnancy. So like to come back from that as well after, and then try to compete at that level after all those changes is also very difficult. So the fact that she's doing this at 24, 25, I wouldn't say it's concerning, but it's definitely a pretty bold choice considering she hasn't really fulfilled, or at least from my impression of it, she hasn't really fulfilled her potential. And the fact that she's doing this now is, obviously a great personal choice. I'm sure it's one that she, felt was best for herself, but definitely an interesting choice. Yeah, but
and I guess too, if Novak and Serena and Venus and Andy and Roger have taught us all anything, is that you can have quite a long career in tennis
at this point. Yeah.
Play, for a number of years. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just not even just tennis. Like I feel like all athletes are able to play further and further into their lives. Because Tom Brady is about 43.
Sure.
Something like that. Tom Brady, and then LeBron now is 38, pushing 40.
Well, yeah, those elite level athletes for sure, at least.
Yeah. So I think that just our the conditioning and like physical health knowledge that we have now I think is helping that a lot. So in technology advances, health advances, that kind of stuff. So yeah, she's definitely got still a long career ahead of her. So hopefully she can bounce back and use this time off wisely. But yeah, the show's really good. Follows the up and coming players, and you get a great idea of their personality. And then also kind of what I like about the show is they just. And they keep like highlighting this fact, and it's just so true that I don't mind that they kind of go back to it constantly. But like just how much of a psychological game tennis is, because at that level, like all these players, any of them could theoretically make a great run or get to the finals. But when it's just you on the court, and like you're the only person responsible for your success, there's nowhere else to put the blame or anything. Like it's very mentally taxing. Especially at that level. So, they kind of really go into that, which is a great thing to show, because I don't think a lot of people understand that in tennis. And so, they see people kind of freaking out, smashing rackets, and they might think it's a bit dramatic, but like it is beyond frustrating to kind of play the sport sometimes, but also beyond fun when you are having success, which is another thing that they touch on. The one thing I'm a little disappointed of is that it's 5 episodes, but so far every episode has like 2 players that they focus on, and I'd really wish they just kind of slow things down a little bit and just do one person per episode, because they kind of have these dual stories going on for kind of each tournament that they're covering. So they have like 2 people for the Australian Open. Although actually the first episode was pretty much 100% Nick Kyrgios.
Okay.
I've talked about basically on the podcast before. I think
he's just kind of a lunatic.
A little bit. So the first episode is basically entirely on him, and like it's a little bit redeeming, but also like they don't shy away from the fact that a lot of people don't like him and view his behavior on the court negatively. But they kind of try to redeem him as far as his off-court personality and stuff. And but then every episode after that is basically 2 people per episode that they cover, and it felt like really fast. Like there's not, in Drive to Survive, there's like a lot of on-track footage, first-person cams, the car cams that show you the track and how fast you're going and like the intensity of it. And like they obviously have tennis highlights and good cuts and good edits of kind of showing you the action of tennis. It's not as close to the action as Formula One is, and I don't really know how close they can get with like USTA like the WTA and I forgot what the men's one's called. Anyway, but the tennis organizations, I don't know how close they can get with their cameras, like if they really want them on the court that close, or I don't know.
Right.
But I think they just kind of fly through some of their matches and don't even like show a lot of them, or I feel like they could really just slow it down, and if they did it one person per episode, and kind of get through a little bit more personal stories. But obviously they only have so many episodes that they have money to produce and whatnot, so I'm sure they're doing what they can. But I think in future seasons it'd be better to slow it down, slow it down like they did in the first episode, because the first episode with Nick Kyrgios, it's probably the best one because you get the best idea of his training and his reasons for his why he doesn't train like a lot of the other pros do. Like he takes a lot of time off, doesn't really have a coach, like kind of just loves playing tennis and but doesn't want to make it his entire life kind of thing. And if like and they do a good job of that with the other people, but I think it'd be better to do that mixed in with more footage of the tennis and footage of each round of the tournaments to kind of just amp up the drama a little bit. It just feels a little rushed sometimes, but overall very good. Definitely recommend. I don't know if it's a must watch yet, but if you're interested in tennis or want to learn more about it, or like Drive to Survive even, I think you'd enjoy it. And it's only 5 episodes. If you watch the first one, don't like it, or if you want to drop out at any point, obviously you can do that. They're each kind of individual. There's not like a continuing through line through any of them, so it's all each individually on an individual player. So that was just exciting to see that finally come out. That's been something I'm talking about on the podcast for a while now, I feel like, and that we finally got it. It's great that it's here.
So what else did you get to your streaming weekend?
What else is here is another thing I've been talking about for quite a while on the podcast. The Last of Us show, episode 1, season 1, episode 1 has debuted.
How was it?
Fantastic.
Yeah, I saw a ton of stuff pop up on my YouTube with people talking about it, and I was awesome. Waiting on you to say something.
There's a few things here or there that I don't love, but like obviously they can't just make it an exact 1-to-1 replication of the game, because the game is like, it's not that long. It's probably about 15 hours, but a lot of that's gameplay. The actual story moments and stuff is, that would only take up like a couple hours.
Sure.
So, they have to kind of change things around to kind of fill out the show a little bit more. And so there's a few things that they changed that I didn't love necessarily, but like for the most part, it is fantastic. It is a very close replication of the game. It's not like they're changing any main story beats. The characters are the same. The events of the game are the same. Like the game starts with the kind of like a prologue. So it's like basically when the outbreak starts, and then it's 20 years later. They do the same thing in the show. So And there are even some shots that are like direct shots from the game. Like it's
I've
like
seen
side by
some
side.
Twitter side by side comparisons.
Just one-to-one shots from the game, which I really appreciate because the game was made. I've said it before. The game was made very cinematically, and when they did a remaster of The Last of Us from PS3 to PS4, like they included a 30 frames per second feature so you can switch between 30 frames or 60 frames because 30 frames feels more cinematic. Like that's how much they care about the games feeling like that. So it was great to see that they're kind of just going to do the game in a show form and not change too much, which is obviously I think what a lot of people would just want with that kind of thing. There's not much that needs to be changed. Performances are great. Pedro Pascal had to warm up to his Joel a little bit because it's not. Apparently the actors, they told the actors not to play the games, which I kind of respect because I think they want this to kind of stand alone from the games as far as like the performances and stuff. And if like you were to play the games, you'd probably try to emulate, even subconsciously maybe try to emulate the character. And I think they just wanted to make those characters their own to make it feel a little bit more genuine rather than they're trying to imitate a different performance. So I don't mind that. Some people had issues with it. I don't mind that. I think it's better than the showrunners for Halo not playing the games at all and not referencing any source material. That pisses me off a little bit more. So the performances are great though. Oh God, what's the actress who plays Ellie? I need to figure that out quick. She's Lyanna Mormont from Game of Thrones. Bella Ramsey. There you go. Bella Ramsey. She's great as Ellie. Pedro Pascal is great as Joel, and then the other supporting cast is really good as well. And it was only episode 1, but I can tell the rest of the show is just going to be great because episode 1 wasn't like nothing groundbreaking happened. It wasn't like the most insane thing I've ever seen, but I can tell episode 1 from HBO shows, episode 10 is usually a much different show, and it's much better by episode 10. So I'm just very excited to see where it goes. Blake, you think about checking that out?
Like I said, I saw a handful of popped up on a lot of things just because I follow a lot of video gaming stuff on YouTube as well. And I don't know, it seemed promising. So honestly, I was like, maybe this get behind. But
yeah,
I think I'll wait till it's complete. I'm not too big of a fan where I need to catch it like week in and week out.
To week. Sure.
Right. So maybe once it's complete and it's still kind of got a following, then I'll go ahead and watch it.
Yeah. Because they're doing a full 10 episode treatment, so you'll have 9 more weeks really before that kind of comes around. Or if you wanted to, you could start probably on like week 8 and maybe catch up by the finale or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad they're doing a full 10 episodes as well because the game
for sure.
The game needs that to kind of flush out into a TV show, so I'm glad they're doing that. But yeah, this past week has been great. 2 of the things that I've been longing for basically since we started this podcast, or for a year and a half almost, has finally come through in the same week. It was great. So
do you think the first season will be the first game?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be the full first game is 1 season basically.
Gotcha.
And then I think the Last of Us Part 2 is a much longer game. It goes from like 18 to 20 hours in the first one to like nearly 40 hours for the second one. It's very long. So I think they could try to do the second game because the second game is split up in 2 halves essentially, where you play as one character in the first half and another character in the second.
Right.
And if they wanted to, I think they could maybe split up those 2 halves into each individual season if they want to do a season 2 and 3. I think it'd be a lot to try and cram together part 2 into 1 season, but it could be done. I definitely think, at least I think and I hope that they do make part 2 into a season as well, like a second season of some kind, because they've already kind of shown with this first episode that they know what they're doing with this show. I definitely trust them to kind of crank out some good episodes the rest of the way, and I think it'll perform well. And I think it's already performing pretty well. I've seen a lot. Obviously, you guys have seen it too on Twitter, people talking about it, and I think that's only going to kind of drum up some more buzz for it. So
for sure,
hopefully they continue with that. I got to one last thing last night, was called Hitchhiker with a Hatchet, a new documentary on Netflix.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing the trailer for this, and I remember that dude's YouTube video originally going viral, like way back in the day.
It was 2013.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So watch that documentary. I was 13, but didn't really have a cell phone or anything at the time, so I don't really remember this too well. I like vaguely remember some of the things that they mentioned and like some of the images that like memes or stuff that they featured. I don't know. I like barely remember this happening. So like it was pretty much a whole new story for me. It was very good, very interesting. Definitely, it's the same formula they do for all these Netflix shows or Netflix documentaries, where it just feels like they kind of start you leaning one way and then it's becomes very one-sided in the other way, with not much in between. And they also the dude's in prison, so he has no defense. There's no defending himself in this as well. But it was good. Definitely enjoyed it. They're entertaining for sure, those documentaries that they keep pumping out. So would recommend that. All right, I talked for a while. I feel like I took up so much time there. Someone else go. Nathaniel?
Yeah, if you want me to go, I can go. I got to do a couple things this week overall. One was, let's start with, I got to Kaleidoscope. Anyone started that yet or anything?
I have not.
I also did that.
Did you? I only got to one episode overall. And so if you haven't heard yet, listeners, Kaleidoscope is a new series on Netflix that is supposed to be able to be watched in any order, I believe is kind of their tagline with this version. So
their pitch.
Yeah, you go over to Netflix, you click on Kaleidoscope, it's going to play in a random order for you, and then you can basically go from there. But it's more or less the heist thing from what I'm gathering so far. The first episode I got to was the Yellow episode, which takes place a few months before the heist and is kind of the assembling of the crew and everything. So I thought it was enjoyable. Go ahead.
Did you do a random order? Random order? Or did you look one up online?
No, I didn't look one up online. I just picked the first thing that Netflix gave me, basically. So,
because I've seen there's been like, here's the best order to watch it in, or here are a couple different orders you could watch it in. Because I heard there's like, if you watch it in some orders, like it could be bad.
Oh, really?
Like some orders are better than others.
Interesting.
From kind of what I saw about it, and so it was just like, here's what we recommend doing. But I feel, to me, like that defeats the purpose of the show.
I was gonna say, like, that really kind of defeats the purpose of the exercise.
Yeah, it's much more fun to just roll the dice and press play on Netflix. So I was like kind of torn on what to do with this show, if I want to look up an order, because I obviously want to enjoy it the most I can, but also it ruins the point to like look up an order. So I think I'll just roll the dice if I get around to it.
So you'll have to let us know what you start with when you do, because that's what I was asking basically Carolia about, because she was the one who originally wanted to watch it. I guess like all her coworkers are talking about it, and she's like, I just want to know what the hell's going on. So I was like, all right, that's cool, whatever. And so we looked it up, and she's like, no, it's supposed to actually give you a random order. Some people say they're the same, some people say they're different or whatever. But so like I also got started off on Yellow.
Gotcha.
Interesting. What did you think?
We'll have to see if this is like placebo effect, or
if they're just lying to us. Yeah. Or maybe they're just switching the episode titles around, which would be kind of funny too.
That would be, yeah.
So yeah, besides Kaleidoscope, which I don't know if I'll 100% go back to, I probably will, but it didn't grab me as a story, I'll say, overall. What was another thing I got to? I watched Bullet Train again, which was our first time since theaters for me. I will say on this watch, I got a little bit more kind of exhausted by the editing in that movie, because that's a 2-hour and like 10-minute movie. And I started like about 45 minutes in, I started counting, and I was like, I don't think a shot lasts for longer than like 2 seconds in this film before it is switched to something else at some point. So definitely enjoyed it still. Definitely still a lot of fun, but definitely was a little bit more like, I felt the length, I think, a little bit more than the first time I watched it overall.
Sure.
And then I got to 2 other movies this week, also starring, or besides the Terminator, obviously. But I got to Total Recall, another Arnie joint.
Nice.
Yeah.
Blake, you turned
around.
Yeah. So yeah, and then based off of that, and Paul Verhoeven and Sharon Stone, I actually watched Basic Instinct as well too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like a suspense thriller joint, right?
It is, yeah.
The right movie?
Yes, I think most of us will be.
The 90s?
Yeah, I think most of us will know it from the famous Sharon Stone dress scene, with which is that is from it, where she uncrosses her dress and you can see her nether bits for a second, and I think it's gone down in history as the most paused moment in movies, whatever. But sure. It's definitely a thriller, more kind of revolving around a cop who's played by Michael Douglas. He's trying to determine if Sharon Stone, who is a woman, is the serial killer that she seems to be, and they're playing like cat and mouse. And it's an erotic thriller, so Michael Douglas is just the worst cop like in the world, and like Sharon Stone's like playing it at like a 10, and like there's definitely leaps in logic there, but like I gotta say I kind of miss the like pulpy, horny thrillers that we used to get like in the 80s and 90s. Like it seems that when we decided to make everything, a little bit more PG-13, a little bit more mass appealing, we kind of smoothed some of the edges off of our fun movies, and makes me a little bummed out. I want more Paul Verhoeven style things in the world. But yeah. Total Recall, Basic Instinct, big recommends for both of those. You can find them on streaming services. Go have fun. And I'll kick it over to Tyler.
Oh, hey there.
Hey, buddy.
So Naruto's still just been like
my life, your life,
part of what I'm doing.
I don't know like whether it'd be like upset that you haven't finished it yet, or impressed that it's actually you were like flying through it so much,
right?
Because like I keep forgetting you're watching Naruto, and then every week you come back and you're like, I'm still watching it, but I'm like 7 seasons ahead of where I was last week.
Yeah, I'm late into season 3, which
okay.
I won't spoil anything because I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know who's gonna like go into this, because there's still a lot of people that haven't seen this. Which is fine, but if your excuse is that it's too long, shut the fuck up. Every anime is too long, okay?
You're not wrong.
And if they're not long yet, they will be. So
Attack on Titan, man. No, just kidding. They did like 3 parts to their 4th season.
Their finale.
Yeah. Although 4 seasons of a show, we'll call it like 5 basically, because season 4 is now going to be like 36 episodes or something total. But that's relatively small for an anime. 4 seasons.
That is not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just hate when that's somebody's excuse.
Fair.
I'd rather have you just tell me you don't want to watch anime, and I'm totally cool with that. Yeah. Will and Grace has still been kind of like little dinner show. So we're just cruising along there. I can't wait to start The Office.
Counting down the episodes.
Yep. Kaleidoscape, obviously we talked about. Yeah, I'm going to definitely continue to watch it. 1, because I love pretty much anything that has to do with the heist, and 2, there are some actors in this that I prefer.
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito's amazing in anything he's in, and I like Jai Courtney, but he's just an asshole in this too.
Yeah, piece of shit. So yeah, we'll definitely go back, but yeah, I'm in. Sunday night we had, not this Sunday, but last Sunday, we had Carolia's nephew.
Oh, okay.
Leland, and we did his first sleepover at Auntie Leah's and Uncle Tyler's. So yeah, so we went like Walmart, and like we'll pick out a toy, and we'll hang out, and he picked out dinner and all that stuff. So we get back, and he wants to watch Strange World on Disney. So I'm like, all right, whatever, I'm down. So we put the projector out there. We had like a little tent in the living room for him, and he was just having a field day. So that was cool. But Strange World wasn't terrible. It was pretty good. You get your typical Disney boxes you have to check right off the bat. So other than that, and Disney being Disney, it wasn't that bad. A random one I got to that you probably haven't heard in a while, and this will probably be my last one, I think, unless I can randomly remember something. Osmosis Jones.
Okay.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Is that Chris Rock? It is, right?
Yes.
It's Chris Rock and is it Bill Murray?
Bill Murray is like
Bill Murray's the human. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, that's one I got around to. And yeah, that was my last one. But yeah, Bill Murray is the fucking guy. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. I haven't watched that movie in forever, but it's a free one on YouTube. So I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna run a mile. I may as well just sit here and listen and watch this.
Yeah, funnily enough, I actually think I came across that being a do in the past, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months, and I just never clicked it. But what's the bad guy's name in that again? The villain. It's like he's like the red guy.
Yeah,
he's like Irish, right?
Yeah, I can't even remember like what his name is. It's fuck, I don't remember.
Well, to the IMDb, Drix.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Thrax.
Maybe.
Thrax.
No.
Who plays him, Nathaniel?
Is it Lawrence Fishburne?
It might be. It might be. Great movie, man. Great movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Thrax.
Weird cover art.
Yeah,
for this movie.
That's a strange film.
That threw me off so much.
Is that all you got though, Tyler?
Yeah, I am done.
All right. Blake, finish this
cool.
up,
Yeah. Wrap it up. I caught a few things last week. I'm getting to Inside Out, which is probably my favorite Disney Pixar film.
Dang.
That's just because I was down in the dumps, or down bad, as the kids say. So I was like, let me watch something that reflects emotions.
Did you say that?
Yeah. So got to that. And then outside of that, just a handful of YouTube. The past few days in the hotel, I got to 2 films. So they had Aliens on last night. It's Aliens with an S.
Gotcha.
Second one. So got to that. Awesome. I mean, it's actually very similar to kind of like these Terminator movies go, where the first one's basically a horror, and the second one is just like a masterclass on like sci-fi, and that's what Aliens is. Where it's
also James
the horror
Cameron
element's gone, but yeah, it's just like, how many of these things can we kill?
Yeah.
It's just an awesome movie to watch. So I got to that, and then another film I got to, they had District 9.
Okay.
And that was last night. So I just did like a quick sci-fi binge, which District 9's awesome, man. Another one. We've got that on the Entropy list. I think we have it ranked pretty good ranking, to be honest. Our Entropy list got a lot of heavy hitters. I think it top, I want to say it falls in the top 50.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Great movie, great location. Just kind of great story and character arc as well. Yeah. So those were the 2 I got to. We'll keep it brief. And obviously I got to Terminator, booted that up on the plane. So watched it on the old iPhone.
Very nice. As James Cameron intended, obviously.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. No other way, right? 30-something-year-old movie. This is intent for iPhones in the year 2023.
That's right.
But perfect runtime for the flight, though. The flight was like 202, and this runtime is like 150 something. So it was like basically basically take off the land. It was perfect.
Sick.
Yep. That's all I got.
All right. Cool. Well, I think that means we can get into the main review segment here. So welcome, listeners, to our main review segment. Nathaniel, if said listener here is new, or maybe they have just gotten a recent case of amnesia, can you remind them of how the review segment works?
What up, folks? If you're new, if you had a recent case of amnesia, the way the Back Row Banter review segment works here on Back Row Banter is it is split into 2 sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the film's IMDb page, who made it, who wrote it, who acted in it, all that good stuff. We'll go around the circle or the squadron, I should say, and decide if we recommend this movie. It has to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. From then on, it'll be spoiler time, and we'll go into any deeper thoughts we have about the film itself, any plot spoilers or twists. And then we'll rank it up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we have watched on the podcast, ranked for you listeners at home. With that being said, and without any more ado, Adam, tell me about The Terminator.
I would love to. This is The Terminator, released in 1984 with a rating of R, meaning you have to be 17 years or older, and a runtime of 1 hour and 47 minutes, and an IMDb rating of 8.1 out of 10. Pretty good. Stood the test of time. Directed by James Cameron, written by James Cameron, Gail Ann Hurd, and William Wisher is also credited with additional dialogue, according to IMDb. The cast includes Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Michael Biehn, Paul Winfield. I don't. There's not a ton of.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
Besides those three, yeah, I got the big ones here. It's pretty much those three for like 90% of this film.
For sure.
So we'll kind of leave it there. The IMDb summary reads as follows. A human soldier is sent from 2029 to 1984 to stop an almost indestructible cyborg killing machine sent from the same year, which has been programmed to execute a young woman whose unborn son is the key to humanity's future salvation. That was really good.
Yeah.
That was another great IMDb summary. We're back-to-back weeks here with 10 out of 10 IMDb summaries. Gives you some suspense, gives you the information you need. You know, I want to go watch this movie again now, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. So this was actually my first time watching this movie.
That's what I was going to ask.
I thought I'd seen it when I was younger. I think I'd actually was watching T2 when I was younger because it's the female Terminator.
That's the third one.
That's the third one.
Yeah, that's Terminator 3.
That's the third one from, I think,
that's the third one.
03.
Yeah. T2 is 03.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
T2 is Robert Patrick. Robert Patrick. Yeah. No way. If you've seen T2,
yeah, Rise of the Machines is 03.
Okay.
Terminator 2 is
92.
I think 91.
91.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
9-year gap, or no, 7-year gap between 1 and 2.
Yeah, 1 and 2, and then what's
12-year gap between 2 and 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
I think the fourth one actually has Christian Bale.
One, I forgot who the actor is.
Well, the fourth one's Terminator Salvation, which is a prequel technically, sort of.
But that's
that has Bale in it, yeah.
Salvation, yeah.
Gotcha.
Which I don't know how I really feel about that. So
there's,
to be honest with you,
5 Terminators now.
Yeah, the latest one was
Genesis,
19.
and then there was Dark
Fate.
Fate.
That was recent. 2019, yeah. And then Genesis was 2015. I remember that one being terrible and getting terrible.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Dark Fate's pretty good.
Dark Fate? Yeah, I heard Dark Fate was decent.
I don't think I've seen Genesis
Salvation good? I thought people hated that one.
I didn't mind Salvation.
Yeah, it's all right.
I feel like that it's about time for the knuckleheads on film Twitter to come out and be like, Terminator Salvation is the #1 Terminator movie, but you're not all ready for that conversation yet. You know, we've reached about that time for those ones to come out.
Gotcha. Enough time has elapsed.
Yeah,
that's funny. So yeah, this was my first time watching. From basically like the get go, I was like, I don't know if I've seen this before actually. So it was fun watching. It's obviously a classic movie. Pretty much everyone knows the Terminator. I mean, I don't know. It's probably Arnold's most famous role, I would say.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
Yeah. So it was definitely fun watching this. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting how this compares to the Predator. I actually probably enjoyed this more than Predator.
Not quite surprised by that. I figured you'd take that route.
A little more depth to the story here, that keeps me a little bit more engaged than like, hey, we're in the jungle getting hunted. Like, no, and then now Arnold's doing the hunting. Yeah, I don't know, just a little bit more going on here, a little bit more interesting of a story to follow. But I think this movie, watching it, what would we say now, 39 years later?
Yeah,
its imperfections in a lot of ways are what makes it perfect. It's very rough around the edges. The fact that this is James Cameron, and then we just watched Way of Water, which is like the breaking edge, like we've never seen anything like it before. But then in '84, like this was the cutting edge that James Cameron was able to produce. It's kind of funny juxtaposing those two. But definitely fun watch. Definitely a recommend if you for some reason haven't seen it like I have or haven't. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. Would recommend.
Definitely some iconic imagery out of this one without and a
iconic
doubt.
lines.
Yeah. I mean the skulls getting crushed by the tractors at the start as well too. You know, obviously Arnold in the glasses, the you know, the I'll be back.
Yeah, I'll say that line.
Yeah. And come with me if you want to live. You know, first coming from Reese as well too, and everything. But yeah, I mean, Tyler, Blake, I'm assuming you guys have obviously seen this one before on an almost countless times scale. Tyler's nodding along.
Yeah, absolutely do.
I've seen this one probably 3 or 4 times, but I remember this being, I saw it for the first time probably in 4th or 5th grade, and it actually scaring me as like a sci-fi movie, because I think going into it I was expecting it to just be more of like a hard sci-fi Jurassic Park, Men in Black kind of thing, and then it was like, no, this thing's gonna kill you and you have no chance to stop it kind of thing. And it does a really good job of kind of viscerally reminding you of that, particularly with you know, how he deals with Bill Paxton at the start of the movie. And then, you know, just as like those scenes in the future too, I think, where he's got the flashback and the other Terminator comes in, and it's got those glowing eyes and the big huge gun, and it's just shooting down people and everything. It was the first kind of, I remember watch. Yeah, sorry, spoilers. There is a evil Terminator in this, and he kills people.
Yeah. Almost 40 years old.
Yeah, and but like I just remember as a kid this being my first kind of like sci-fi horror movie, because I hadn't seen Aliens yet and I hadn't gotten to Predator yet or anything. And there will always be, I think, a little bit of part of me that like you know, will always kind of associate this movie still with that, with being, you know, 10 years old again and it freaked out by, you know, Arnold cutting his eye out with a scalpel or whatever, and like just freaking out completely. But yeah, Tyler.
Yeah, you know, I've seen this kind of like you said on a number of occasions, just kind of growing up and everything like that, and even as an adult.
Sure.
But yeah, this is pretty rooted for how I grew up to see or to know like what an action movie is. Like this is still like, I always point this out when Schwarzenegger comes up, and I don't know why, but it just always goes hand in hand. But he has a movie where he is a hero in a movie, and it's called what is it called? My Last Superhero or something like that.
Okay.
And this is like what he is. Like this is where he came in. He was like the pinnacle, like action kind of, or it's My Last Action Hero, something like that.
Oh, The Last Action Hero.
Yeah, The Last Action Hero.
Yeah. Okay.
And I always think of him like that. He's on that pedestal for me. He was just you know, one of those guys who was just up there doing everything. And yeah, I love this movie. The second one's better. Obviously, everybody knows that. We'll get around to that. A bit of sizzle. But yeah, I had a blast with this. I haven't seen this in probably, I would say, probably 4, maybe 5 years.
Sure.
So it's been a little bit of a dip, but yeah, this movie is iconic. It even comes in like, you know, kind of the pulp culture memes that we kind of grew up with and stuff like that too. So
right.
That was one thing I was going to ask too. Is this the first? Because I noticed on here, this is the first time you guys ever heard the term cyborg, and like where it's actually broken it down to like cybernetic organism. And I was like, so that's what that means. Like, did James Cameron just come up with that out of nowhere?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I caught that too on this listen where Martin Sierra's talking. She's like a robot.
Yeah,
he was like, no, not a robot.
Yeah,
a cyborg, and they kind of to explain it to your point. But yeah, it's there's a few things I feel like this movie was kind of the pushing point on.
For sure.
Absolutely. I think one of the first times I heard Cyborg was Star Trek, actually.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Borg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
remember
maybe like Power Rangers or something like that.
I remember
do we want to go into spoilers?
We can.
I don't know.
I'll have to hit mine quickly, but it's definitely going to be I recommend great movie. Okay. And that can be mine. We can jump into spoilers.
Yeah,
okay. Just because we're just like going all in on the movie. I just wanted to,
we're all for recommends.
Yeah, it's all for recommends. Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, check the episode description. There's a timestamp you can jump to where you'll skip over spoilers and you'll come to the ranking of the movie on our entropy list. Spoilers time.
Shit goes down.
Shit goes down in the future and in the past/present.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where if you think about it too much, it doesn't make any sense. You know, why would the machine send a Terminator back in time to kill John Connor's mom when they could just kill him earlier or something like that? You know, like, you don't have to go back to his mom's kind of thing. But I mean, reading up on it, they didn't have any money. So they couldn't film it in the future, so they had to film it in the current day. So they came up with that other idea. But anyways, I'm not I'm not ragging on this movie right away. This movie's amazing.
This movie's great.
Or the fact that his dad is from the same future.
Yeah.
Kill his dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you just got to get Kyle Reese once.
Yeah. So Adam, what are your thoughts then? Obviously, I'm curious what you're thinking. It's an 80s film, a little older. There's definitely some scenes where you can see it shows its age. Obviously, the Arnold scene with the scalpel in the mirror shows his age like crazy. Or that's
definitely
complete miniature. But
yeah, there's the like robot Arnold, which I didn't think was that bad.
Yeah, for sure.
It was bold for 84. I'm sure that robot was awesome. Right. Pretty impressive for 84. So I don't think anything was too terrible for 84. The eyebrows were probably the worst of it for me, where I was just like, what the hell is going on there? Because that's not CGI. There's not a reason you can't have better practical effects than that. But I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have it at that time, or I don't know. Does Arnold have particularly bushy eyebrows that it's hard to cover up? I don't really know. But yeah, it definitely shows its age. But I don't think anything in the movie really bothered me that much that the age of the movie detracted from it. It's still great, and everything that is wrong with it, as I said at the beginning, kind of all the imperfections are what makes it perfect.
There's something with just having practical effects there. It's just even though they're janky or you can see it in camera, just having it in camera just adds a certain weight to it. I think that just always helps overall,
Yeah, it's definitely lost, and I think, as we've kind of already seen with CGI, and as you said, Nathaniel, it's CGI is just going to age so poorly so quickly that it's going to be.
It just does.
It just does. Avatar in 2009 is not the best looking movie anymore. And it shows. Whereas obviously you can't make Avatar without the CGI, but the point just goes, the practical effects will age more gracefully than CGI. And it continues to be proven.
There's something else I was going to say. Oh, I remember a long time ago, I was watching an interview with Lance Henriksen where he was talking about working with James Cameron, and he said every dollar that he gets, he puts into the movie itself and goes up on screen. And I think you can, and he's and I remember Lance Henriksen, who he plays one of the cops in this movie, says where was I going with this? Oh, he was saying Cameron's big skill is he can determine, or he can know which things need to be done CGI and which things you can do special effects wise in camera, and when you can blend those together. And then he's that's his great skill, is knowing when those things happen, so that his movies always end up looking like they cost way more than they actually do, kind of thing. And I think that's a good. This movie in particular is like, even though it's early days, you can see the example of that as well too. With the lightning effects and the practical effects as well too.
Which there was an excess of lightning effects. I wasn't expecting it. Even at the end when he gets crushed in the press, I don't understand why he was getting shocked, but who knows? Maybe some future technology I can't understand yet. Although I will in 6 years?
Yeah.
Right, cool.
Cyberdyne or Cybernet, Skynet. God, Cyberdyne, something else. Yeah, Skynet is on the way.
Life is a simulation, bro.
Oh no.
I don't know. The story is pretty simple.
Oh yeah.
And that it's just a giant chase.
It's Jaws. It's like
yeah. I was gonna say, man, it's a slasher.
Yeah.
Like that's how compared to, as I kind of touched on earlier with Alien versus Aliens, plural. The first movie is kind of like straight horror, right? And in the second film, you dive into, if we ever to get to T2, actually, we're doing that next week. But you can see it's like night and day difference, where this one is much more of kind of a slasher. It's got the eerie music in it when Arnold's walking and stuff, and the next film is just like a fucking Christopher Nolan, James Cameron film, right? Action, top to bottom. So I like this one. I think it grew on me over time. At first, I was man, I love the second one so much. I don't think it's really close. I actually think this film's pretty damn good. Few drawbacks, like I said, where it shows its age a little bit, but overall, I mean, I like it. I like the very minimal dialogue until, at least from Arnold and what's the other guy's name who's from the future? I can't think of the name.
Reese.
Reese. Thank you. Reese, the very minimal dialogue from those two characters until, I don't know, it's like 56 minutes in.
Yeah, and you don't get context for exactly what's happening until like 30 or 40 minutes in the movie.
Which is cool though, because as you're just watching, you're just kind of like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. This guy's he's clearly a robot. He doesn't really talk to anybody. He's just slaying people left and right. But it's good.
Yeah, my Arnold's definitely got a little of the Mike Myers in him in this one. Just the way he moves and kind of that. I was reading too, like he even learned how to like unload the guns and reload them with both hands too, so he could always be ambidextrous and more robotic with like his movements and stuff. It's like that's pretty good to be going to kind of like that level as well too. Because I mean, he'd been in I think in a few movies at this point, but this was definitely obviously his big break overall.
He just always fucking like wanted it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like all the bodybuilding stuff too. Like he's just always had that like, I don't give a fuck mindset, and I'm just gonna like literally do my best at everything. So like you could tell he's giving it everything he has.
Yeah.
He sells the shit out of it.
Yeah.
He does. There's a few times where he just like the way he like turns and stuff, he like turns his head like just like super stiffly. Like, I don't know. He's going in on it. It requires like such little, but also so much acting from him, because obviously he's got to act like a robot. So like the emotion part of the role isn't really there, but the kind of the movements and whatnot is kind of where he has to kind of put his effort into. So definitely an interesting performance in that aspect. The red eye reveal is pretty cool. When he takes out his eye, and you see like his exoskeleton, that'd be not exoskeleton,
endoskeleton,
endoskeleton, and endo, whatever. Who cares? That reveal is pretty cool. And then the arm thing where you kind of see his little robot arms moving. Dude just won't die. Also,
that's where it's very Michael Myers. Like he just does not die. And I just remember as a kid, it scared the shit out of me. Like it genuinely frightened me. This movie.
Yeah.
It definitely has, like you guys said, it's definitely got a little bit more of that horror kind of feel to it than, maybe I remember.
Yeah.
When I had this on headphones too, because I was at work while I was doing it. And so I don't know if that played into it a lot, where I could and they were my noise canceling ones. So maybe I could just get into it a little bit more and kind of shut everything else out. But yeah, it definitely has a little bit more of that aspect kind of twist to it than I particularly remember or actually, paid attention to.
I think too, if you come into it, like if you're one of the people, particularly of like the next generation, that like you might have started with T2 or something like that, or caught T2 on like TV at some time before you went back to Terminator 1, like that's a pretty big difference as well too, obviously going in the other direction. Yeah. But yeah, just like the killing the other Sarah Connors and then going after the mom and going after the roommate and stuff. Dude, I just yeah, it's intense. Yeah. I remember specifically it was the roommate kill that I think really kind of got me. Where where and like the boyfriend just like being able to do absolutely nothing. Like and her
he's like, you want me to jack you up, man?
Yeah, which is great.
Just like tossed into a fucking wall.
Yeah. He breaks the window and then like the mirror too, like glass is shattered twice. Great.
Yeah, and then the fact that she's got the headphones on and doesn't know that's happening in the other room and everything. Yeah, I think that really got to me.
You can see kind of like James Cameron starting out being also kind of like just a masterful filmmaker, because like there's like I noticed these small details in that scene where like when he shoots her, she falls and like hits the phone and the phone rings, and like what killed her was the fact that she didn't answer the phone, and then like later he's like later Arnold like steps over her headphones as like the voicemail's playing or something like that, like the thing again, like she couldn't hear it because of that, like just small things like that, like fun details that I kind of picked up on. Those are throughout the movie as well, so really fun there. God, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I also just wasn't expecting like a full-on sex scene. That kind of came out. I kind of read into it early on. I was like, all right, I know where this is going. That's fine. I don't, that's cool, interesting. Yeah. But then they just, you're right, that you get full nudity basically.
Yeah, little fourth grade Nathaniel watching this one with his parents was just really struggling there with the intense gore and like terror, and then just randomly like boobs. I was like, oh god, what is happening?
My
it can't be more uncomfortable.
Is like the hands uncoupling in slow motion at the end.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. The transition into the fade. Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's fantastic.
Montage, folks.
Yep. I'm excited to see. I can't wait to watch the second one next week. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah,
I love the second one, dude.
I was gonna say if you can avoid,
it's like actually one of the best movies ever, but I've never seen it.
I would say so. What were you gonna say, Nathaniel?
I said if you can avoid seeing it, or like if you don't know pretty much the main kind of plot twist already, I would avoid trying to go into it as blind as possible.
I'm not looking at anything, and you say a plot twist, I don't know what that includes. I didn't even know there was a plot twist, so thanks for spoiling that for me. Appreciate it.
Well, that's the thing is like it is and it isn't. So we'll talk about it afterwards for sure. Bit of sizzle for you.
I got you. No, I
think I know what Nathaniel's talking about.
Yeah.
But I am excited to watch that. And maybe I'll keep going because like.
Yeah, I mean,
you've already seen the third one, right? And the third one, honestly,
is like a long time ago. I basically don't remember.
The third one's not too bad.
Third one's campy.
I watched that about a month or two ago.
Yeah, third one's super campy.
Yeah, it's cool. That's a very 2000s movie.
Yeah,
very 2000s movie. Easiest way to say that one. Salvation with Christian Bale is like, as we said, I think it's serviceable.
It's the gritty reboot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would put it above the third one, and then I think after that, then it's probably like you can probably sit out, in my opinion. But
honestly, the Dark Fate's decent. Dark Fate's actually pretty good.
Is Dark Fate the newest one?
Yeah, it's the most recent one where Linda Hamilton came back.
Okay. Yeah, that has who's the Terminator in that one? It's the woman. It's she's in
Blade Runner 2049.
Yes, it is. Yeah. She's in Blade Runner 2049. Yeah, she plays like the prostitutes, right?
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, she's awesome though.
And I think she's the one that's in that one episode of Black Mirror we talked about last week too.
I believe so.
Yeah, the Forever Valley or whatever it is or whatever. Yeah. But should we see where this guy ends up on the rankings?
You took the words right out of my mouth, Nathaniel. Welcome back. Or hello, listeners. Sorry, I can't say welcome back. You never left in your perspective. Anyway, hello. We're going to go ahead and rank the movie up upon our HB list, which is how we review our movies, essentially. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another. And if you'd like to see the list for yourself, there's a link right down there in the episode description. Oops, I just pressed the wrong button. I pressed make this list private.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Now all our movies are gone forever.
Yeah, forever and ever. I will never. You guys will have to pay me to release them. I'm holding the entry list for ransom.
Well, time to start that new podcast.
I think as we kind of stated before, our kind of like gauge here is going to be a Predator, which is, where is that? 62 out of, this is a movie 132 on the entry list. So 62. Kind of right there at 50. Above or below? I'm going above. But where?
I feel like we have been playing in this zone so much over the last few weeks, really.
We have.
Let's see, Predator. Okay. So yeah, Predator 62.
I think I have mine actually.
Okay, go for it.
I'm gonna run it up at 58. Below Paid in Full and above District 9.
Okay.
So above Predator, but not by a lot.
Not by much.
Weathering with You is where I had to cap it at. That was the ceiling. Predator was the floor. So I really only had a small range to go within, but I've been subbing Paid in Full a decent amount recently, and I can't keep doing it. It's still a good movie. And then District 9 hasn't aged well on me since I last watched it. So I don't know. I definitely enjoy this more. And Blade was catching me off guard too down there at 60. But I think this is overall maybe a little bit better movie than Blade. But Blade's still a lot of fun. Yeah. What I say that was? I already scrolled down too far.
58.
There you go.
All right. I think I'm going to go at 53. So below Good Will Hunting, above Dr. Sleep.
Okay.
And kind of similar to what you were saying, Adam. I'm going to have it above District 9. I like Paid in Full, but I think Terminator is just, again, from like a iconic kind of standpoint, you're a cut above there. Similar with like Weathering with You. Power of the Dog, different type of movie. So I just kind of nixed that one. And this is better, I think, than Wakanda Forever. And again, on almost like a iconic status, I'm putting it above Dr. Sleep as well, too. So Good Will Hunting right in that kind of same zone, I think, in a lot of ways. And we still got T2 coming next week. I know we're not supposed to look ahead, but like got to in somewhat in this case, you know? So
yeah.
I'm going to put it right there at 53, right below Good Will Hunting, right above Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm thinking here, so just kind of thinking aloud, right? I do like the area we're in between like that 60 to like 50 range.
Sure.
That's kind of where I was originally looking at. And I scrolled up a tad bit, Power of the Dog, Weathering with You, Good Will Hunting, Coherence. It's like, okay. But then like it also still kills me that we have Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, and the Suicide Squad and Deadpool all sitting in the 40s.
Sure.
And that's high 40s. So then I'm like, all right, maybe we should try to like break some of that up.
Go for it.
But then I'm talking to myself, we're like, we also have T2 coming next week. So it's like, all right. But I think I'm gonna make an effort to try to break some of those super. But honestly, Deadpool's awesome. That was what hurts me to put it over Deadpool. But I mean, I would pick this over Shang-Chi and Doctor Strange. So I'm gonna set it at 40.
All right. So below Boys in the Hood, above Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I agree with everything that has been said this evening.
I detect a butt coming.
There is.
He's got a butt detector.
That's right.
I think T2 is going to go up. There's going to be a big difference between these two as far as how these rank, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I'm not worried about next week because I think next week is going to I think next week's going to be a little higher than we maybe anticipate. This is a good movie. This is not better than Blade. And I can't.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm actually going to be at 61.
Fair enough.
61.
Round them all up, Adam.
Right below Blade. Yeah, that gives us an even ranking of 53, meaning we don't even have to tie break it. We can just put it right there.
Boom.
53. Boom.
So below Good
that
Will
is
Hunting,
below,
above Dr. Sleep?
Yes, right where you had it. How convenient.
I'm okay with that ranking. Like everyone
Endorsed
to know.
by Nathaniel Gingrich. I am Nathaniel Gingrich, and I approve this ranking.
Oh, God. That just gave me... I think all of my... the hairs on my stomach or on my arm inverted themselves.
I'll move on quickly before anyone has time to think about that more.
Yeah.
Next week, as we've already talked about, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. What a dope ass title.
I'm glad they didn't I'm glad they didn't just do Terminator 2.
Or T2, yeah. T2 Judgment
Day.
Day.
Yeah, that's dope. So, yeah, is that streaming anywhere? I haven't checked. Terminator.
No, I own that on Vudu though.
Judgment
so
Day.
If anyone needs to watch it, I can. As well as you, listener. If anyone needs to watch it, reach out.
It's on HBO Max.
Pass you my Vudu login and whatever.
Ah, there you go. HBO Max.
There you go.
Shout out
I'm watching
HBO
it
Max.
right now.
I think I'm still gonna ask Blake.
Hang on. Pause. It might not be. Why does it say this is weird? It's on HBO Max, but like Amazon Prime Video.
All right, well, find it, listeners. You know where it is.
I'm confused. Anyway, it's on Prime or HBO, but it's on one of those two. Something. Anyway. Cool. That's next week. What else do we have here? 5-star review, Nathaniel.
We do have a 5-star review. Folks, if you want to give us a 5-star review here on Apple Podcasts, we will read it out on the podcast, and it helps us out. It helps us get seen by more folks, helps us grow a little bit. You can say anything you want in the review. Just don't be evil, but you could be mean. You could be funny. You could say what you'd like. Just like this guy, Briffin, who says, love this. 5 stars. Love this podcast. I listen to every new episode. It gives me so many ideas for my next movie night. Thanks, Briffin. Hopefully you got some more.
Commonly is we give people a lot of ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have a little bit of an eclectic taste on this podcast. We definitely aren't always picking the mainstreamiest of all movies, but we can give you a couple good recs.
Casual movie talk.
That's true. That's true.
There you go. Well, thank you, Bliffin.
Briffin with an R.
Briffin with an R.
Like Griffin, but with a B.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'm glad you get some movie recs from us, and hopefully you can get some more in the future. We also have an email from alleged #1 listener, Ryan Foley, who says, yo, 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 is the title of his email. He said, what up, bros? I just wanted to drop by and show you this. And he has attached a screenshot of his top 5 podcasts on his Spotify Wrapped. And lo and behold, Back Row Banter is not on the list. No, I'm just kidding. It's #1.
Hey.
Thank you, Ryan Foley.
So thank you, Ryan. That means a lot, man. Yeah. He says, you guys were my #1 podcast last year and will probably be that again this year. With that being said, what were your top podcasts from last year? Like 1 or 2 of them? Cheers to a great year, bros, and I look forward to the movies that are reviewed this year. Thanks for making great content for a nerd like me, Papa Foley. I don't know how I feel about that.
He is a Papa now.
I guess he is Papa Foley. Sure. Thank you, Ryan, for that. What were you guys' top podcasts? That's a great question.
Ooh, that's tough.
I don't track my stuff very much with like that, but because like YouTube is such a big part, and I'm sure they might have a way you can look that up, but I actually don't use Spotify. So I know for a fact, really the only one that I know that I listen to on a regular basis was This Is Important, which is all the guys from Workaholics. And they just talk about stuff that is not important, but kind of important sometimes. As you can imagine, those characters.
Yeah, I was about to say, sounds like them.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. Just basically that, and obviously, hanging out with you guys. So
for sure. Yeah. I use Tidal for streaming music, but I do have Spotify for most of my podcasts. If I could put together my Spotify kind of year-end thing, I think podcast-wise, the top two. One is probably the Man to Man podcast with Darius Butler and Anton Bethea. Those are two guys, two former football player, NFL players. They played about 10 years each. But those are the same guys I've gotten here to talk about. Like they got into like F1. So they would always talk about this type of thing, right? So that's a podcast where I think they release twice a week, and that pretty much like gets me through like every like Monday and Wednesday at work first thing in the morning. And then another one is probably see if I can find it. Another one here is probably a new Rory and Maul podcast, which is two guys, and they pretty much on there just kind of talk about anything of like hip hop culture and things of that nature, music releases. But I could imagine those two are going to be my top two most played podcasts for sure, and then it'd be us.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple. I don't use Spotify either. I use Apple Podcasts. Sorry, but Weekly Planet, which is basically movie reviews and that kind of thing as well too. I've been pretty open about stealing their format for the review segment before, but there you go. Do Go On is another podcast I listen to often, which is more just kind of like a report on a random topic each week, but the other two people are comedians as well too, and so they just kind of like to interrupt and get a riff going and stuff. So that's always fun. And then Jack Slack. Jack Slack is the my favorite fighting analyst, and listen to his podcast on the weekends. They'll hear his big breakdowns of all the biggest fights over the weekend, and yeah, those are probably my big three. Besides us, obviously.
Yeah. Adam?
Yeah, I used to be on Apple Podcasts, but I've recently switched everything except for my number one podcast to Spotify. So most of my other podcasts, except for the one that I listen to the most, are on Spotify. The reason for that is I subscribe to my favorite podcasts. I subscribe to their Patreon, and then their RSS feed I can only get through Apple Podcasts. As far as I know, I don't think I can get it on Spotify yet. So, or maybe I can. I don't know. I haven't looked into it in a while. But anyway, yeah. So the number one podcast I listen to, it's a group called Kinda Funny. I don't know if you guys are aware of a guy named Greg Miller, who is basically he's like a video game, or was a video game journalist, kind of still is essentially. But it's like he a few years back started his own little content creation group kind of. So they do like a lot of video game news and podcasts, and then they do some movie stuff as well, and then they just do kind of some comedy funny stuff as well too. So they have like their Kind of Funny podcast is their main one, which is like just random topics, whatever they want to talk about, or they'll have like questions from viewers on their Patreon, stuff like that. So that's like my number one podcast, and I listen to a bunch of theirs that they do. Besides that, I listen to a lot of the Waveform podcasts from Marquez Brownlee, MKBHD, on YouTube. It's like a tech podcast, basically. So phone and other tech, primarily phones is like the main focus. Phones, electric vehicles, like that kind of stuff. But everything Marquez Brownlee touches is gold. I love that man, and his YouTube stuff is great. So yeah, those are the two main podcasts I listen to for the most part, and then of course ours as well, Back Row Banter. Gotta love it. I think Back Row Banter was my number one podcast on Spotify, if I remember my Wrapped correctly, but I don't remember for sure.
Well, if you want to share Back Row Banter, the number one Wrapped podcast on both Adam Schwartz and Ryan Foley's list, how would you do that, or where would you find it?
You can share it by doing anything. That's as simple as passing a note in class to someone, or
word of mouth,
sending word of mouth, sending a Slack message just with a link,
sending yourself back in time to tell your parents about our podcast.
Yeah. That's a good one too. Yeah, you can do. There's quite a lot of things to share the podcast and help us grow. But if you've already done that enough, or can't do that for whatever reason, you can also support the show by following us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod. YouTube is just Back Row Banter, and our email, if you want to write in like Ryan Foley did today, it's backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. BlakeHolder.
Yo.
Where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be on there and log some things, rating them out of 5. Definitely waiting for T2. So I'll probably have a review on that one. That's one of my favorite movies. I think when we did our top 10 movies of all time, it was probably within our first 10 to 15 episodes. I want to say I had T2 in that top 10 list. So definitely looking forward to that one. Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. We'll go popcorn. We'll go Nathaniel.
Well, folks, you can always find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at @NSGingrich. You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. Sandpiper Tapes is my other podcast. Tyler, where can the people find you?
Twitch.tv/UltraBallo87. Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. I got to get my capture card situation figured out.
For sure.
Other than that, it's Twitter, Letterboxd, and Instagram, Tyler Vidalis, VID, ALES. Is that everyone?
That is it.
No, I gotta go.
Oh,
just Adam.
Where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter at Aish24, on Letterboxd at Aish, and on Twitch where I've been live a decent amount in the past week or so.
True.
Since I've been back at school with Halo practice, Halo scrims, preparing for the next major event at the end of February. But yeah, you can find me live there at twitch.tv/Aish if you want to watch me play some Halo. But besides that, thank you all for listening. Join us next week for our review of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. We'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will BRB.
Thanks for stopping by and helping us grow. And just spread love. And we'll BRB.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support as always. We appreciate it. We wouldn't continue a podcast if it wasn't for you. That's all we got. We'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
You gaming it, Adam?
Nah. Podcast nights usually take off unless I game like early in the day.
Are those guys that you play with, are those is that like who you would play with an attorney, or are those just guys you've kind of like picked up along with like just for scrims?
No, scrims are typically, unless you don't have a team and then like you're a free agent looking for 3 other guys, like scrims are usually just with your team. And then like if I'm playing Halo, I'm playing scrims with my team. So those are the 3 other guys that I'm teaming with for the next event. Matchmaking or basically 8s is like pickup games between like top competitive players or like amateurs.
Yeah.
So one of those 3, but yeah, usually for Halo, it's not like you do like a pickup squad of like other good players. Like sometimes people get a sub if it's like you have 3 of your team on and you can't get a 4th person. Like maybe you'll get a sub, but like my team doesn't really do that much. But I've had other teams do it against me.
Yeah.
But my team's pretty cracked. We got to figure some stuff out. But this is definitely the best team I've had.
Yeah, cool. From what I was watching, it wasn't bad. Obviously it was just it was actually like 2 nights that I tuned in, and the first night, the first night was Sunday night, I think.
What was
Sunday? And
watch this pod back. It was Sunday.
And nobody, it was like it was definitely Sunday, yeah. So because like I texted like the guys and I was like, hey, is anybody gonna be on tonight? And everyone was like, nah, I'm doing football, or nah, like my wife's got off, so we're hanging out. And so I'm like, all right, whatever. And then I like played Apex for like maybe 45 minutes, and I was like, bro, I fucking hate playing with randoms.
Yeah.
Especially ranked randoms, like just kill me, bro. And so I was like, all right, whatever. I'll just like sit here and watch something. And then nobody was on Twitch. Then I was like, I have you on my phone, but I don't have you on my Xbox because I'm not logged in on my Xbox. I just have the app.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So I was like, I could have swore I saw him go live. So I was like, let me just look in the app, and I typed in your name, and yeah, you were live. So I was like, bet, I'm just gonna sit here. And then like next thing I know, dude, it was like fucking 2 hours went by, and I was like, what the fuck? So
yeah.
So that was fun. I was just chilling.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate you tuning in, man. Yeah, Sunday I'm watching this I realized who we played Sunday. That was like one of the best teams we've played so far yet, and they're just really good online. Like they all have an insane internet connection and are pretty notorious for it.
Yeah, you guys were pretty. I remember. I think you were just screaming around before all that, but yeah, you guys were talking about playing them on like 0 ping.
Yeah. That's what. Zero ping is basically just LAN. Yeah, because we played 2 scrims that night, if I remember correctly. The first one we just dominated, and then the second one was they're like a top. They're probably top 24, close to top 24, if not top 32 teams. But like definitely better online than on LAN. So, but that's just where this game's at right now. It fucking sucks. But.
Where does he lose his eyebrows?
Yeah. Are you talking about Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
Bro, I thought the same thing. I was like, what the fuck?
He runs through the fire. Over the car or something.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I remembered I caught it last night when I was rewatching it, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
What up, fellas?
Yeah, he just randomly has no eyebrows. It's hilarious.
Dude, I was dead. I had to like triple take. I was like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
Oh, little Governor Dong there.
Spoiler alert. Dude, I have like so much done on this game.
What game?
Valhalla.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I remember. You went ham on it for days.
Do you remember what level I was at?
No, I have no idea.
I can't remember either. I bet it was probably like mid 200s.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think you were mid to, if not 3.
I definitely remember like a 279 for some odd reason.
I have
That's like a number that.
Yeah, the number that sticks out in my head was 330 for some reason, but I can't remember exactly what that was in reference to.
Either way, yeah, I'm currently sitting at a 463.
Jesus.
What are we chatting about here?